CM from Kenya will be joining the panel as well. Nema Uganda, that's the head of environment in Uganda. Who else? Lots of other speakers. So we'll have discussion on collaborations and the future of collaboration, and then we have closure. Brief program when we head to network and have dinner. I was a bit curious why, we seem to be very comfortable just sitting and waiting very patiently. It kind of made me feel a bit, maybe we are not keeping time, but I hope it's been worth it, and hopefully you've been able to make all the connections. But I'll reserve those for whoever is making the closing remarks. So let's engage, and as we get started with the rest of the sessions in a few seconds.
see me, lift your hands. If you can see me, lower. Hello, hello. If you can see me, lower your hands. Welcome to the closing dinner for this event. I tell you a story about this great city that you are in. I tell you how Nairobi came to be and some of the challenges and opportunities you see in the city where they are coming from. So in 1888, there was something that was being constructed in this area called the Kenya or the Mombasa-Uganda Railway. And this was being done by the British East Africa, which was a British company. So when they built the railway, by that time when they said Kenya-Uganda, the border of Uganda was not too far from Nairobi. Uganda was starting probably 100 kilometers from where we are seated. So when they built the railway, it reached Nairobi. For those of you familiar with the country, once you go probably 100 kilometers to the, I think it's northeast of Nairobi, you encounter a very big escarpment that goes into the Rift Valley. It's a very, very slopey area as you drop into the Great Rift Valley. So the British company or the railway contractors needed some time to think about how they are going to navigate that particular slope. So they also wanted to have a station where they can accumulate a lot of the construction materials. So when they start constructing the railway down the slope, it will not be a logistical nightmare. And the place they chose to have that station was, if you have gone to Nairobi CBD, is where we have the old railway station. So that railway station was built mainly to be the center of accumulating materials to build the railway towards Naivasha. The reason they chose that place is because Nairobi had a lot of nice water. The water was flowing nicely, and because the company was just coming to a very wild country, they needed to make sure that they had good supplies of water. So they built a station there, they brought all the materials, they figured how to go down the escarpment, and they continued building the railway up to Kisumu. But by the time the railway was over, there was a lot of opposition on that investment because I think it was guaranteed by the British government. And in Britain there was a lot of debate in Parliament against the investment because they reached a point where they realized very quickly the investment might not pay back, or they might not get the payback from the railway. There is one very famous British member of Parliament who said the investment was ludicrous. It was a terrible idea, and it was a lunatic express. So the word, if you tour Kenya as a tourist, you will see some options you're given whether you want to ride on that lunatic express. So that is the old railway. The name, that name came from the British Parliament when they were debating and arguing. So once they realized the railway is not likely to pay off, there was need to look at how can we make the railway viable for business. And at that point, I think it was discussed within the British headquarters there, how they can bring in big and experienced farmers so that they can produce beef and all those things and utilize the railway for exports. And that is why when you see most of the British settlers that came to Kenya, most of them were lords. They were very powerful and very rich men. So they came and they were allocated a lot of land for farming, for ranching and all those things to utilize in the railway. So again, when they had all these investors, the lords from UK coming to settle in Kenya and do farming, there was need to establish a governance structure that would actually protect and kind of address their needs. And when it was decided to establish a protectorate in Kenya, the initial idea was for the capital for Kenya to be in a place called Machakos. Machakos is on the east side of Nairobi, probably 120, maybe 100 kilometers out of Nairobi. But when then the governor came to Machakos, he said, I want a place where if I need to evacuate quickly from Nairobi, I can get the railway very quickly and get out as need be. So he said he doesn't want to settle in Machakos. He wanted to settle in Nairobi, in the highlands where we have Milimani. So if you travel around Nairobi and you see State House, that is where that particular governor decided to settle because of the railway. So where we have the station and we have government is where business develops. So Nairobi started developing as a trading hub at that point, and it reached where it is as of today. In 1926, again, Nairobi is situated in an area that was a marshland before it was, or people settled in here. So it's one of those areas, and that's why we have a lot of flooding issues during the rainy seasons. So in 1926, Sir Winston Churchill visited Kenya and Uganda. He went to Uganda and saw Uganda as a very beautiful country, and you still call Uganda the Pearl of Africa. He came to Nairobi and looked at the city, the river, the way the ecosystem was, and he said, this is one of the worst possible place to settle or to set up a city. But he said, well, the mistake has been done, let's continue. So that is why Nairobi, it's where it is, in very marshy lands. When it rains, the risk of flooding is very high. And during those times, the history is very interesting. So when they were doing the first planning for the city, they said the higher side, if you move in this direction, you'll see what we call the Milimani, or the highlands of Nairobi. That is the area where the government then decided to put up most of the hospitals. So if you go to Kenyatta National Hospital, Nairobi Hospital, Bagathi Hospital, War Memorial Hospital, they are all down there on a hill. And the idea was, because that is the elevated part of the city, when the hospitals are burning their waste, the wind will be blown to the west, where there were many more people. By that time, the population of Nairobi was very, very small, was less than 50,000 people. So the hospitals were really in very isolated areas. The hotel you are staying in was built around the same time, and it was considered really far from the city. Right now it's in the middle of the city. So it was one of those hotels that was really far out of the city. And now as the population is growing in the city, and now it stands at around 6 million during the day and 4 million at night, the settlements have expanded, and they have now where the hospitals are is part of the city. And that's why this morning we had a session where we were talking about hospital waste burning and its impact to air pollution in Nairobi, because now the hospitals are in the middle of settlement areas. If you ask anybody from Nairobi City County, one of the things you'll realize is that the biggest complaints in terms of air pollution comes to communities that live around those hospitals. So that is a quick snapshot, the history of Nairobi. The geography of Nairobi, if you're driving around, you'll see as you go to the western side, there is a certain ridge that cuts across from the game park all the way to the end of the city. And that marks the difference between the lowlands and the highlands of the city. Now you are all experts of Nairobi. So far, we have had 3 major plans for the city. The current plan that is there is being implemented by the county government. So with that understanding, please, when you walk around the city, just remember that part of the history. So we have the western side, which is the highlands. The eastern side is more lowlands, flatlands, with very black cotton and kind of dry. Another interesting fact about Nairobi, although it was situated in a marshland, I think around 2017, It's the first time we ran out of the underground water first aquifer. So now, if you're digging a borehole in Nairobi, you have to go deeper to the second aquifer and the last one. So once we run out of that second aquifer, we'll be the same state as some Southern African cities will be counting towards that day zero. So those are some of the issues that the city is dealing with, among many other issues, among them air pollution. So with that quick introduction of the city, welcome again to the evening dinner. I can see our table of guests is full, and I hope we can welcome them with a good hand of applause. And my job tonight is very easy. The first one is just to invite engineer to take us through the first session of this closing event.
Asante, George. Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. We are coming to the last day of the Clean Air Forum, and it's really very good to see you all here joining us as we close this year's Clean Air Forum. I think for me, during the last 3 days, it's been very pleasing to see that we are making progress in terms of clean air actions. I think we agree that when we started out on Tuesday, our commitment was on coming together as partners and making progress on clean air actions. And you agree with me that we have made some progress. It's very difficult to quantify the progress we've made, but I think we agree together that we have made some progress. You know, having close to 400 participants, 35 countries represented, I think demonstrates progress. We are making progress on science, we are making progress on data, we are making progress on policy and partnerships with private sector and other stakeholders. It's important to know that when we talk about air quality data, we are no longer doing data collection for the sake of collecting data, but you are collecting data to inform science, but also inform policy and clean air actions. As we close, I just want to say one thing I think that's been very important is that this forum is not about the presentations and the talks, but it's about the partnerships and the connections. And I hope we've all been able to meet new people, make new connections, make new partnerships, and hopefully these partnerships are going to help us advance clean air. This forum is evolving. The community is evolving, and we welcome feedback. We have many people who have been part of the organizing team. I'm sure we're going to send a follow-up request for feedback. Please give us the feedback. It's the only way we can be able to improve and make this forum better and make these partnerships better as well. There are many things we are not doing well. There are many things we can improve upon, but maybe also things that we are doing well. So we request all of you to give us feedback. It's the most precious gift you can give us to improve the forum going forward. And as we conclude, I would like to really thank everyone, the amazing team that has been behind the organization. I would just mention a few maybe names, and then I will ask Deo later on to come and recognize the entire team behind the organization. But Deo Okule has been leading the organization. Thank you so much, Deo. Deo has worked so much all through the year. In fact, I don't think he has told you, but he actually he had his PhD defense last week. which was successful at University of Portsmouth in the UK. But while he was doing his PhD defense, he was at the same time preparing for this forum. Dr. Pallavi has also been, over there. Dr. Pallavi, thank you so much for really all the work that you have done. I think I should request all the team that has been behind the organization, I've been working with Deo, Kule, and Pallavi, to please stand up for appreciation of your effort. Nairobi City County, our hosts, please, all of you, thank you so much for all the hard work. And of course, my team at AirCo, beyond the technical team, there's also been a lot of team in the background supporting our administration and making all the stakeholders from Nairobi, Kisumu, Mombasa, and the others. We appreciate. The program committee members, this forum we received a record number of submissions for abstracts, over 150, and it was a tough job to actually do the selection of those submissions. So thanks to all the committee members that have been able to review these abstracts and making the selection. As I conclude, I would like to request the communication team and also thank the media, by the way. We've already seen a lot of media outputs from this event, but I'm told the communication team has been able to do a quick summary of the last 3 days for us. If you can play that video, if it's ready, for us to actually follow what has happened in the last 3 days. Thank you, and thank you very much.
A lot of commitment from the different individuals, organizations to kind of make this work. To highlight the importance of.
Welcome to the third Africa Clean Air Forum in Nairobi City. We do have more than 25 countries in the room from all over the world.
The forum is really a partner-led agenda, and I do not think this would have been possible without a lot of commitment from the different individuals, organizations to kind of make this work. To highlight the importance of good work, the good work that ECHO started, I think has now grown way beyond what they had foreseen.
For us to achieve clean air, it's going to be a very long journey. And clean air to you. I said, we must come together as partners to deliver clean air to everyone.
No government can manage what it cannot measure. Air pollution remains one of them across African cities.
The cost of inaction on hundreds of millions of dollars of GDP being lost. But what I really want you all to think about over the next 3 days is think about the people in your life who may be living with chronic diseases. Think about the people who may be making decisions every single day. Think about a person who has no choice whether to be outdoors and work. Think about a person who has no choice whether to be outdoors and work on the streets, because that's how they earn their livelihood.
Deploying sensors is not sufficient. We need to build into
awareness. Are there any other groups in your city doing the same work that you could leverage and partner with? And then, based on what you know that's happening federally, locally, are there any legal policies, action, anything that you can use as an entryway to take that data in and then leverage that to create some sort of change?
When we come to this platform, then we ask ourselves, who is responsible for this? Who is responsible for good air in our cities and all that?
What remains is action, ladies and gentlemen. And so let's see action in our localities, in our villages. If you do it in your corner, all of you together, we make the world a better place to live.
Hewa yetu, sauti yetu. Hewa yetu, sauti yetu.
Right, thank you. So that's a quick summary of what has happened in the last 3 days to recognize our Executive Director, National Environmental Management Authority, Uganda, Dr. Akankwasa Barirenga, who has just joined us. Thank you so much, Doctor. He's been a champion of regulation and policy for clean air in Uganda and in the region. Thank you for joining us, Doctor. Deo?
Slide. Can I have the slide? Yes. Next. A couple of those are next. And well, stop here. Right. Thank you. Good evening. My name is Dale Okure. I think I've probably now interacted at this point with maybe 90% of the audience. So you'll spare me that. Thank you. And it's an honor to successfully host yet another third edition of the forum. And I think we should be proud of ourselves. We've come a long way over the last 3 years, just kind of building something and growing organically. And here we are today. So can we clap for ourselves? This is a partner-led initiative. And today we are going to be talking about the future of the network. And I guess I'll spend a bit of time talking about this today in terms of what this means for us going forward. But before I do that, I do want to acknowledge very specific people here who have really, for a very long time, some of them since we started thinking about this idea of having an annual convening. Some of them, of course, from this year, but we don't take that for granted. With the where are the city people here? Nairobi City County, the host. Maurice. Where's Director Joyce? Working diligently in the background. Where's Grace? The county team, please, just to stand up. Thank you. The forum is not just hosted in Nairobi, it's hosted in Kenya, if you broaden that a little bit. So we have our colleagues from Kisumu, all the other cities. I think by now you know the emails, the WhatsApp calls, they're probably, I think you'll forget about those now. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the partnership. I have other colleagues from Nairobi, Geo Health Hub, with Professor Nick. Thank you. Thank you for all the support. And where is NEMA, Kenya? They're here. All right. Cool. Leaving anyone out? Right. So since I have the NEMA DG, well, ED for NEMA Uganda, there's a question I've never got answers to, because NEMA, the head of environment agency for Kenya is called NEMA.
The one for Uganda is also called NEMA. So the question is, who copied who? I've never received that answer. I always get explanations acknowledged, but I do want to very, very especially really, acknowledge Pallavi for the last like 2 weeks, just getting this going through every detail. Even after doing that, you'll get on site and then, oh, the clicker is not working. This I have the program. And then we have the silent heroes, the people behind the scenes who will not make presentations, the logistics team, right from, I don't know, it's a big team, okay? Coordinated by Angela. Angela is here? Oh, thank you. Angela sneaked herself into Nairobi to come and, just come on set. But we really wanted you to have the best. So we appreciate your sacrifices. We appreciate all the efforts and all the logistics team. Emily, Suzanne, what's the other one? Lucy, it's a long list. And again, thank you so much, really. I can't thank you enough. And I apologize for, bothering you, and thank you for coming. Right, so the rest of the AirCo team, that's not a special consideration. AirCo is my home. So the forum is not my home. AirCo pays the bills. Where's the AirCo team? Priska, Sasha, Richard, Gideon. Right, where's Gideon? Right. So had smooth airport pickup processes, with what's the other one? Visa letters been, but thankfully Kenya has been very hospitable. We did not have any visa issues. No one failed to turn up because of visa issues. So thank you. We thank the government of Kenya with support for. Right. The speakers. How many speakers are here? Just speakers. If you had something, including posters, because you're also speaking. Speakers. Sponsors. Who gave us the money? Who's paying for the food? Who's picking the bills? Exhibitors. We had a run today, Haban Beta had running for clean air, plus several others, all the exhibitors. So I think as you realize that by the time we finish at least, and I know this is not exhaustive, this is really a collective effort. Almost everyone needs to be involved in some way. So one of the things I realized along the way is we need to align. We need the data. So even look at the forum has that sort of bubble for, like tackling air pollution, right? So everyone is represented here, and everyone has a contribution one or the other. So we've been able to, make this work together collectively as a partner-led agenda. And that brings us to the Clean Air Africa Network. Can you go to the next slide? Right. Okay. So how many people are here for the first time? This is your first forum. Or significant, actually, which is a very good thing. Right. So I'll take us back a little bit. Before 2023, there's lots of work that has been happening, in Uganda, in Africa. Lots of work happening. We have several groups and organizations, policy. There's lots of things happening. Different countries, different cities are doing so many things. There's so many variations in terms of what's supposed to constitute an ecosystem for action. But there's one missing link. The collaboration between disciplines, sectors, was not very well coordinated. And we demonstrated this in a scoping review that Gabriel led, trying to understand the eco-management strategies in Africa for over 20-year period. So in that work, there were several things that came out. One of the things was that there were attempts, there's always been attempts to be able to take action, but the level of coordination, there was not much, very limited mechanisms to facilitate longer-term connections, longer-term collaborations. And the question ask ourselves,
what if we decided to, first of all, just talk to each other? And what does that mean? We need to come together and collaborate. So that's what gave birth to the Cleaner Network in 2023. The philosophy was different. Let it be an action-centered network, okay? Not a paperwork-heavy network, but an action-centered. So that's why the first action we said, let's convene a forum. We've had the first meeting in Kampala and co-hosted, by NEMA Uganda, and obviously all the other partners from Uganda, KCCA, of course, Kampala as co-host, and several other partners really. Plus, of course, on the research side, the university, that's Makerere. So that was the first step. Can we first be able to come together? So we are able to, define, understand, we're making this work. Fast forward, we met in Lagos, hosted by, of course, our partners in Lagos, LASEPA, because like we've demonstrated that we can actually come together. It was to see how much we can consolidate all the things we've been doing into, so we can be able to define, have an identity, right? I'm Ugandan, so what are we, right? Let's have an identity. So that is, thankfully, the forum has been able to deliver an identity for the Cleaner Network, and that's what you see. Forum now, can we clap for ourselves? And a lot of you, of course, supported this process as well. So next slide, I promise you, I'm going to be brief. The first point, as I mentioned, was